Lights, camera, action.
Good afternoon, youth of Bay Area. Welcome to Bay Area Youth on Air, also known as
Bayo!
I'm your host, DeMian Williams.
And I'm your host, Benjiman Cheung.
And today we have a very special episode. We have a double episode for you guys.
How is that?
Wow, really exciting.
Woo! Let's make some noise.
Oh, Benji.
We have so much content we can't put into one episode.
No.
So today, you should watch part 1, and then next week, tune in to see part 2.
We have guests coming from 2 different projects made by BAYCAT. And we might even put in 1 bonus video from BAYCAT as well. So stay tuned.
The first video is called Superhero of a New Origin, written and directed by Kamau and Ramses at BAYCAT.
We selected it because it shows how 2 superheroes took a negative experience and turned it into something positive.
Let's check it out.
When you think of superheroes, you think of Batman, Superman, or Spider-Man. People with tragic beginnings who decided to prevent crime as they matured. Harold Atkins and Eddy Zheng are 2 men who rose from the depths of poverty and incarceration and are now known as individuals who give back to the community in hopes to redeem themselves. These men are superheroes coming from a new origin.
Happy New Birth, everyone. My name is Eddy Zheng. We can have regrets, we can have a lot of disappointments, but it's what are we going to do today, right now, and what we're going to do tomorrow and the future that matters. At the age of 12, I left China and came to the United States. I didn't have a choice when I came over to the United States of America. The challenge immediately that I had to face and deal with is the language barrier, the cultural differences, and the generation gap. And that is traumatizing for me. I'm trying to find a place that I can fit in. And I couldn't fit into the American culture because I didn't understand the language and I didn't get the opportunity to really get the nurturing and guidance I needed. And so I rely on my peers to get that feeling of belonging. So I make a series of poor choices that led me being locked up in prison for 19 years of my life in a state prison. And then after I got out of state prison, I had to do 2 more years in the federal prison because I'm not a citizen of the United States, so I was ordered deported.
What I think triggered a lot of the emotions that came up before I committed the shooting that I was convicted of and sentenced to 6-year state prison was more around access. You guys know them Top Ramen noodles? In the prison system, you could probably convince somebody to take someone else's life for a couple boxes of those. That's very small level thinking, right? Prison for me was slow. Prison for me was boring. But prison also, for me, was a blessing in disguise, now that I think back. It was all of the community-based organizations that came into the prison, provided me with mentorships, provided me with a better way of living my life.
My life-changing moment came when I was able to go back to San Quentin, where volunteer professors from around the different universities around the Bay Area, they go inside of San Quentin to provide free education for us. I can get an associate of arts degree. So when I came out of prison, I wanted to be out here to do the work to engage young people, to reduce violence, address gang issues, and do prevention, do mediation, try to just support young people and pointing them in the right direction and provide them with resources. Not only do I help support the Asian and Pacific Island population, but I also embrace all the different cultures, working with African Americans, working with the Latino population, just trying to use cultural exchange opportunities to promote racial harmony.
佢哋就嗰啲全部都係第三行業服務業多嘅。
So I was sharing with them how African American came to the baby hunters point is because of the World War II, when the war happened. So a lot of folks from down south, from different area, the part of the country, came over here to work. However, after the war is over, then the economy left. The jobs are gone. So the African Americans still settled down. And when the Asian immigrants came over, there's a lot of resentment towards the immigrants because they don't feel that they took ownership of the community. You know, they came here to kind of compete for the lack of resources.
他非裔的文化还有他们的都是跟亚裔的有很多相同的地方，所以在很多我们种菜啊、种植物上有很多相同。那人对人上面历史上面也很多相同的地方，所以我们怎么样去一起生活在同一个地区里面呢？那是我们要提倡的。他在叫我们，我们可以去那一边看一看，我们去那一边看一看。
I was speaking with this elderly woman. And she was just talking about, oh, how wonderful it is for all these different crops and these plants to be able to grow together. You know, instead of in a big boxed up flower bed, the idea of the cross cropping is to be able to get different plants to be able to sustain each other in that way. So I was sharing with her, you know, that's exactly what we should be doing with our community because our community is so diverse with different people from different backgrounds. So now, just like cross cropping, if we are able to really learn about each other's cultural history, identity, you know, in different spaces, then we're able to live in harmony.
Commissioner Eddy, he always stands out because he's forward-thinking. He always tries to find a way to have open communication between different sectors of people and find solutions that really fit the problems. We need him and we need more like him.
So when I was released, I had a life plan written out, and you know, I've accomplished almost everything I wanted to accomplish on that list. I wanted to work with youth. I'm here at the office, everybody. Reach one. So this is where the magic happens. When you think about each one, reach one, we take a three-pronged approach. We have life skills programming, art-based programming, and academic tutoring. To me, that was right up my alley in regards to stopping that pipeline to prison. Time to go to work.
And welcome back to Bay Area Focus. From playwriting to financial literacy, each one, Reach One, teaches young people all kinds of critical skills. Harold Atkins and Angel Carrion will give us all the details. And Angel, I want to start off with you because you actually have gone through this program. Tell me about your story.
I met Harold when I was in juvenile hall, probably my first year in. I did 2 years in maximum security. You know, he came in talking about his experiences in prison, and it kind of helped a lot of us in there because we were able to relate to him. If it wasn't for Harold and many other people that helped me throughout my time in juvenile hall, I don't really see myself becoming a San Francisco Youth Commissioner or becoming a Juvenile Advisory Council member at the age of 19. If it wasn't for mentors like Harold, then I wouldn't really have had like that push to keep doing something with myself. Even when I felt like I didn't want it or I didn't need it, they would still be there getting on my case about what it is I'm doing and what it is I should be doing.
I can't tell you enough that you're doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job. And one day, you're gonna be sitting across a chessboard like this with a young person from the city, getting your butt kicked like you're doing me right now, right? But you're gonna be proud, right? You're gonna be proud, because you know what I'm saying? I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Harold is a superhero because he made it out of a very unfortunate situation, and he made it out on top. He made it out as a great father, a wonderful coach. He continues to work with kids in juvenile hall, and he utilizes his experiences to help kids understand that what they're going through isn't always just so bad. You can make something positive out of something negative, right? It's all about perspective.
All right, man. Easy. Yeah. Do you want to play next week?
Yes, Coach!
Right, coaches? Do you want to play next week? If you want to play next week, we go out and execute even better than y'all did just now in this first half. Y'all hear that?
Yes, Coach!
I focus on giving back to the communities. That's one of my personal values. So I make sure that I'm always either volunteering as a coach, volunteering in the community in some other capacity as a board member or whatnot. My cell phone! Oh, you got my phone. I think my number one goal is the work that I've done with my own sons. in regards to understanding education, the importance and the value of giving back to the community.
This is going to be my second year coaching a flag football team, and I take a bunch of stuff from my dad. The speeches he says after his games, to his coaching methods, to like how he walks, how he talks. He teaches other kids how to get out of that situation that he was in, and it's amazing to me.
When you work at something over and over and over again, what happens?
You develop?
Is that only football?
No.
High school, college, right?
Yeah.
That's the formula. In the beginning, when I played football, I only liked football because you could hit people and not get in trouble. Growing up how I grew up, that was the only thing that actually brought me to the sport. One day these kids are gonna have a job. They're gonna work with, a company that has, maybe hundreds of people. And they'll have the ability to make good decisions or the right decisions fast, how to communicate with others, right? How to work towards the goal as a unit, and then ultimately how to be successful. I'm Clark Kent. I'm a community member, right? I'm just the average guy trying to chop away at a huge issue. The people who mentored me and continue to mentor me today, those are the superheroes. I wouldn't quite put myself in that category yet, but hopefully, I'll make that transition from Clark Kent to Superman.
Harold and Eddy are just a few examples of modern-day superheroes, two ordinary men doing extraordinary things. They inspire us to do great and constantly give back to the community.
Punishment does not work, right? So when the prison system did not offer us too many of those programs, that we were able to find those programs ourselves, right? To really take the initiative to do that. I think, overall, when we talk about mass incarceration and mass criminalization of people of color, I think one of the biggest issues is the front end, that there's no preventive measures to really invest in education.
There are some clear markers that something's going wrong. You can look at attendance rates, right? You can look at grades. You can, like you said, reading levels. You can look at the way kids act out. If we were to capture kids right then and start our restorative stuff then, you wouldn't need mass incarceration. In fact, what you would need is more classrooms.
We all have the potential to be just like Harold and Eddy, to be superheroes. It is the potential that resides in us, the will to help, no matter what origin we come from.
All right, well, thank you guys for coming to our show. We're so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Happy New Breath.
And we're going to start off with some questions, starting with you, Ramses.
Okay.
So, how did you come up with the concept of the video superhero of a new origin?
Well, oftentimes at BAYCAT we start off with a theme, and this theme had to do with juvenile justice. And that's where the whole incarceration aspect came up part of. As for the superhero aspect, I've been a comic book fan for as long as I can remember. So I thought it'd be interesting to compare people who were incarcerated doing better things with life to superheroes. Sort of like, because superheroes are all over the mainstream right now. Like the Deadpool movie had just came out, huge success, everyone loves it. So I thought connecting them to superheroes would like bring the topic to perspective.
Oh wow! I just want to say I love superheroes too. So
I love superheroes too.
Yeah. So we kind of understand
connect.
of your aspect. So
One of my favorite superheroes is Captain America and Spider-Man.
yeah, and they're superheroes too, but mine is Power Rangers. So they're one of my childhood since I was a kid. Compared to these two, these guys have done a lot more of the community than being in costumes and such. So
Harold, I wanted to ask you a question. Can you tell us more about your experience being a program manager at each one and Reach One?
Yes, my experience as a program manager is incredible. I get to work with young people that don't have a voice per se, and that are not. There are a lot of assumptions, negative assumptions about the young people that I work with, and the work that we do with our theater arts, with our academic tutoring, and our life skills programming. We learn more about these youth, but through these programs, we're able to market them back to the community, where we can change the assumption that people have about these young people. And I know a lot about that because when I was younger, people had assumptions about me.
So what can people do to change so we can have a better community?
There's a lot that we have to do to change this. The change starts within us, right? And I tell this to our young people. The number one thing that I believe young people can change is a level of empathy, right? And when you change the level of empathy, what happens is empathy begots empathy, right? So the young people that I'm working with, if they can change in that regard to where they start caring more about people in the community.
How does empathy impact you?
Empathy for me, it changed the way I thought about my community. So when I had no empathy, didn't care about anyone else in the community, the feeling that it caused was that I didn't think people in the community cared about me, but it was because of my behavior. When I learned empathy and I learned to kind of give off the vibe of empathy in my own life, I started receiving empathy from the community, and then I was able to work along with the community.
Okay, so Eddie, I got a question for you. How are you helping youth that immigrated from other countries to assimilate to the culture here in San Francisco?
Well, one of the organizations that have been working with is the Community Youth Center of San Francisco, CYC. I've been there for almost 9 years, and we specifically focus on helping new immigrants that specifically coming from China to be able to help them assimilate to this new culture that they're in. Because the language barrier and the cultural differences and the generation gap are kind of stifling their growth in many ways into engaging and immersing in the community. So therefore, we want to be able to create different culturally competent programs to be able to support those young people. So that's why I think regardless of what country people are coming from, without the level of empathy that Harold was talking about, being new immigrants coming to this country, they need that empathy. They need that support system in order for them to succeed and to assimilate into this new culture.
Yeah, I see. Many when it comes to America, it's a lot to people. There's a lot of language barriers, and many people don't know how to speak English, but with people around them to help them, they'll be able to be comfortable around them, be able to speak the language they really want to speak. As just like me, I'm trying to speak another language, and it's hard. But with people around me and supporting me, I'll be able to do what I gotta do.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
Can you explain more about the language barrier?
Well, I mean, when I was an immigrant coming over at the age of 12, those are the barriers that I personally experienced, and it's very difficult to really assimilate to the culture without being able to communicate with other people. So therefore, it has been a challenge at the age that I was growing up. Therefore, I made plenty of mistakes that ended up, leading me to having to learn how to speak English inside the prison system. But that's a blessing because we know that education is the foundation of our success in what we do. So the language barrier, oftentimes it's because the people don't associate themselves with people and programs that be able to help them with getting understanding of the language. The advantage of immigrant is that you know immediately whether they have an accent in speaking and learning, they are stronger in a sense because they know 2 languages, right, instead of 1 language.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, being bilingual is it can be hard, but it can be really interesting at the same time.
Can you tell us about some challenges you had while making this piece?
And what was it like? What is it like to work together as a team?
Well, one of the challenges was compacting everything into less than 20 minutes. These guys have a lot of insight, and they had so much to say. And like every time I cut something, it kind of hurt inside because like it was so useful and so inspiring. I didn't want to cut it away, but I had to. As for working with them, they're brilliant. They have like a natural chemistry.
Well, I think that's the 3 of us, right? Just because the fact that Harold and I already have a relationship, you know, in the past, and then we are also working with young people. So when Ramsey kind of directed the film, we kind of like it's naturally fitting in with each other.
Yeah, I would find it hard to find a challenge, but I would say the challenge for me was figuring out what exactly I could share, because I have so much to share in regards to life experience, what I could share to help Ramses really produce the film that he wanted to produce in order to have an impact on the community. So, but other than that, I'm gonna tell you, like Eddy said, knowing Eddy and then the smoothness in which these guys work, it made it pretty easy for me on my side. But I could see some of the challenges on their end with the editing and finding the right shots and everything.
Wow, so with so much hard work, you guys have a really good bond with each other. That's a good thing about filming.
Yes. Do you have a message to say to talented youth out there?
Yeah, I do. It's a lack of opportunity. Like people want to express themselves, but they often lack in like the tools they need to express themselves, and it's all in the matter of finding those tools that you need. Whether it's like, for me, if you want to be a filmmaker, where it's like a camcorder or maybe a simple phone camera, just like find what you have, use the tools that you use to like express yourself the way you want to.
And to keep going, motivation, effort, view challenges as learning experiences. Don't let anything hold you back. Just go. Once you make a decision to go and you know what you want to do, chase it like you would anything else in life. Like, what did Thomas say? He said, if you want to succeed as much as you want to breathe, right? That's the effort I'm talking about.
Well, I'm glad that you brought out the fact, with breathing, is that young people need to realize that their lives are miracles. Yes. They are the generation that is going to continue to set trends and, make history. So if you feel that you are powerful and that you can achieve through your investment, then, the journey of life is going to be much easier.
Do you believe that there's hope?
Of course.
I'm looking at you guys. There's plenty of hope.
I know there's hope out there. So
there's hope in here.
I know. So we really want to thank you guys for coming to our show, and
yeah, thanks for coming.
And Ramses, we're looking forward into seeing some of your newest videos of the future. So looking forward for that.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
Thanks for coming.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
That's it.
All right, you guys, tune in next week for part 2 of our special episode of Bayo, the double episode.
Remember, we want to hear from you. Email us questions, suggestions, and submissions to bayoletstalktalent@gmail.com.
Thanks for tuning in and following us on Facebook and Instagram.
See you next week on Channel 76, Fridays and Saturdays at 3:30 p.m.
Bye. And remember, guys,
let's talk talent! Cut, that's a wrap.
What's the use? Now it's too late. Must I beg for forgiveness? Oh, for goodness sake. What's the use? Now it's too late. Must I beg for forgiveness? Oh, for goodness sake.
Goodness. Yo, what is justice when our freedom is in combustion? Quick discussion, worth nothing. Tired of the same dirt substance. All this absurdness leads to my lonely reluctance. Now with the sky stand by my side, enough abiding the crown that was assigned by the giant, little-minded, single-eyed, supposedly grown-minded men. But these blood diamonds are subconsciously so erotic to Eric, Tommy, Jerry, and Bonnie. Melodic rhymes inside your divine minds. What a crime it must be to be myself. Somebody help, yo.
Now it's too late. Must I beg for forgiveness? Oh, for goodness sake.
Danger anger that weeps in me has erupted and made its way deep in me. I spit anguish and hope y'all weep with me, cause I can't paint a language that seeps from me. I wish you could see the pain that sits with ancestry, but the masses are consumed by yours mystery. But what y'all need to focus on your people's history. I roar and hope y'all will sing with me. It's time to sing and scream and be with me. I start dancing in the fire that keeps in me. I start speaking from the anger that peeps in me. I hope y'all understand and lead with me. It's time to listen up, y'all gotta lead with me. Can you hear me? It's time for y'all to speak to me. Blind idiots look like sheep to me. Wake the hell up, this ain't no time for sleepy feet.
What's the use? Now it's too late. Must I beg for forgiveness? Oh, for goodness sake.
It's never fair to live and die by someone else's drama. It seems to be we never leave our memories that haunt us. I guess we'll never let it leave. When we agree to die, but I suppose we'll never know until we live the lives that honor us. We suppress memories, never realize our minds are loaded with weapons. Doctrination dictates we cut our ties to learn the severance. Funny, ain't it? We kill time, and yet we lose seconds when you look at the clock. There's no direction or any reference, wrong place at the wrong time. Since wrong and you lose your senses, or even worse is behind bars. The sensitization make you feel helpless, accompanying hollowness, but yet your spirit has lost its ammunition. Capitalism at its finest. You know Mr. Sinatra said it best, and I believed him when he said the best revenge is massive success, and it's lonely at the top. But I suppose home is where your heart is, so it's never too late. Memories are here to stay, we remain dauntless. I make music to heal my heart, cause I know home's not where I started.
What's the use? Now it's too late. Must I beg for forgiveness? Oh, for goodness sake. What's the use? Now it's too late. Must I beg for forgiveness? Oh, for goodness sake.